Maybe I should stand here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's good.
So I can explain to you. And you're here, and I show you. If my arm is my, we can represent the quart de chaume error by the 4 fingers of a hand. The 4 fingers would be 4 heel going down to the river. The river is, you see the trees in the bottom part,
Okay.
and this is the river Léon.
Okay.
It passes. I will take you down there. So you can see.
So the River Léon is over here.
Down, it's down, and it continues. You see the
上面那
valley?
条了。
The valley
Between
there
这个
is-
hill 跟这个 hill.
It goes in the middle of the trees, in between. And here, this hill, we are here now. And if you look, you can see 2, 3, and a 4th one over there.
Okay.
And the few houses there, it's the name of the hamlet, the village.
Okay.
Hamlet is the name of a small village, which is called Chaume.
Chaume, okay.
And the name of the wine comes from the Middle Age, when the lord of the manor was asking as a mean of payment for the quarter of the harvest hanging on the slopes
Okay.
facing the south.
Okay. So they're quite shown.
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
And around it, and also here, this hill, the dominating winds comes from the west.
Okay.
Today it's south.
Okay.
It's warm, but it's not current. It's quite rare. That's why we're going to have storms tomorrow and maybe this afternoon.
Oh. Okay.
But dominating wind comes from here, and so this hill is slightly higher than the others. You see? And it goes. We drove on top of it, and where you see the trees there, and you draw a line up north from these trees. The wind arrives here. This part here is Coteau du Léon, and here it is Quart de Chaume, because the vineyard is protected.
Okay. Oh, okay. So generally, Coteau du Léon is more windy, and Quart de Chaume is not so windy.
Well, yes, but that's one element. You have then, because of erosion, diversity of soil and subsoil, which is very important. So in this field, or this one there, I can produce 4 or 5 different wines.
Okay.
Because one year the maturity is better on this part, and the following year it's better. So when we pick, we can say, okay, from this stake to number 10 there, we pick nothing. But from number 10 to another 30 meters, there's a whole round, which the grapes are good. So we pick. Then it's just observation.
When you say so good, do you mean the good with the noble condition or the grape condition?
The grape condition.
Okay.
Which can be noble, concentrated, or just matured. It all depends.
I see. So you will harvest the grape in the same area, but you divided them into the material of dry wine or material of sweet wine?
Well, here we always do sweet wine.
Okay.
And so, but I will show you again with the picture and the wine we taste, so you understand what I mean. But the difficulty is to pick at the right moment, not too early, not too late. And if I had picked nothing now today, I would be very scared because I cannot pick everything in 2 days. Even if we have 40 pickers, it's just impossible to do in time. So you have to anticipate. You know that here it grows earlier, and here, if it rains, well, it resists better. While here it always rots too fast. So you better to pick where you feel it's going to be better and bad. And that's just what makes experience, and it's like with kids. The tolerant ones, the nice ones, the people who obey, the people who say never listen, or you don't talk the same way to them, and so you have to adapt.
So how many people were you hired during one phase of harvest?
Well, our harvest lasts 5 to 6 weeks, and which is very long. In Sancerre or Chablis or in Champagne, in 10 days it's done. And most of the time it's 4 or 5 days. And but large companies, they have to. So here we have it's a small family winery. We have 30 hectares, which is
30 hectares. That's huge.
No, it's an average size for the region.
Okay.
Chateau Yquem has 150, something like this. I'm not too sure, or any Bordeaux chateau has a huge size. In Burgundy, many vineyards are smaller. So maybe to Burgundy standards, it's an average size.
Because when you say you are a small family, so I thought you could be like 5, 10, but you got 30. 30 is not small.
No, but it's not a family. It's the people I need to pick.
Okay.
In addition to, we are 12 to work in the winery, and then we have additional people coming for the harvest.
Okay.
And so also what is different is that the part of the vineyard here and here and here, it doesn't get the morning sun. So this part is not in appellation. It's only above. And you see, yes. So you see the field there. You see a green, and then there's a step. The step below, it's not even Coteau du Lion. Just Anjou, so the owner just pulled out the vines.
Okay. So condition just look like fingers.
Yes. And then very important
跟南董一样，跟南董一样是 fingers。
is that in September, October, although we didn't have much this year yet, there is a fog coming up from the river, and this fog comes up to the level of the houses.
Wow!
So the vineyard is covered under moisture, humidity, and the ideal condition is to have no wind
and sun.
And then in the afternoon, in the morning, you have the fog coming up from the river because of the coolness of the night. And then around 11, 12, this is blown by a gentle wind. And you have sunshine in the afternoon to dry the grapes. If you only have rain and humidity and warmth, you have rot growing. And then it snowballs for a few days, but then it's just rot. And it's the same rot. We call it noble rot, but it's not always noble. And you see, when you see the sky there, over there, look, 10 kilometers away, it's raining there.
Yeah.
So I hope because of the river and the meandre, we will not get it in an hour or two.
So only the slope that face to the east, that could exposure to the sun could be called gakishon.
Yes.
Oh, and during the hillside, it could not be exposure to the sun. Just
because because the sun, there's not enough light in the sun to reach the maybe if you want, you can walk down here and turn right and walk to the trees there.
Okay.
And I will join you with the car.
Okay.
Or you come in the car. It says you want, but walking
Take a look.
It's nice.
We'll take a walk.
being it was very, very, very dry, and so not given time for the over maturity. And because we're quite ahead in the season now, the danger is that we only get rock very quickly, and not yes, and not enough time for it to become nice.
那风这么大，那怎么会有 novel？
他说早上会有那个雾下。
And I'll join you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
都是葡萄。
它的这边的风就比较少，所以像这种地方就
他就说是只有山上那边风都从西边或南边来，
所以像这种风那么大，根本它没办法形成，没办法发霉啊。那再来，它如果说做 novel 的时候，做 novel 它为什么不做一些白酒呢？
他这法规不能做白，不能做 dry 啊。
他的法规是它的证明当然已经是做成熟了，对。那你不可以当队啊？我不要当，你可以当队啊。对啊，我不要当那个或者证明。对，你可以当队啊，要不然多浪费啊！不是很多葡萄根本都没有 novel 的人就丢掉。
那当归它是不是就变红珠啊？
你们讲的安住是 ANJOU， 不是那个 Anjou， 我们住的地方。
对，是安全的。安全是一起。
你们知道这个酒庄吗？还是不熟悉？
知道。有买过他的一些酒。
因为他现在算是第二代，然后他爸爸是教授，然后在安爵就是做很多葡萄酒的研究。然后他本身是有去英国跟美国学酒，但我不知道到底是念什么。
听说Shihn-Yuarn的叶脉这里会有红的，是不是？这个没有啊。这片就看不太出来。
有啊。那我讲Shihn-Yuarn啊。
对啊。
对啊，它是有红的Shihn-Yuarn。听到都什么的话，对不对？很讲Shihn-Yuarn吗？
他说另外一个叶片很大，那个是有 Golok。
It's a river rail.
Yes.
Quite small.
Very.
I was thinking it was quite large.
No. And it's even covered with. The summer has been very, very dry. So you cannot even see the river. It's herbs have been growing. And you see the soil.
What kind of soil?
Well, the soil is schist. And schist is that part of rock which is, you see, it's falling apart. It breaks.
Oh, breaks so easily.
Yes, it's a slaty rock. You see, and the la pente, it steps this way, and the rock is this way.
Oh,
the layers, like here, they go this way, and so you see the liquid, the lines. So the water goes in deep there.
Flowing.
Yes, and the roots, they find their way in between. But there are veins. In some places you have a lot of quartz. There's none at this part here, but quartz, it's white rock.
Yeah.
You don't know what is quartz. And nothing to do with the name Car, the Chaume, quartz of Chaume.
Okay.
But you see here,
它容易碎吗？
there's a black line, and that's a vein of carbon.
Carbon.
Yes, well, it's not pure carbon, but it's the stone is black, and it's very acidic, and so the roots have to find their way in between. And in some places, I have some rows. Well, like you see here, the vines are growing, but they're not. You see 2 rows higher, you have much more leaves.
Yeah.
Just because here on this row you have a vein of one of these. You see the grass grows here, and here it does not. And it does a little, but it dries over summer. Like you see there, it starts again, and then the vine is greener. So
真的耶。
So it's a huge
这块比较
diversity.
干的。
对啊，然后那边开始又长得又开始是绿的。
Grapes cannot survive in this kind of terroir.
Well, it depends if the vein is deep, thick, large. If it's thin and blended with other rocks, the roots can go through. And once it went through, it's okay. And so here, that's how they survive. And hopefully, here you see, I had to replace 1, 2, 3. The small one with the 2 grapes there. The grapes were not picked because they were not ready. And you see now they're beautiful.
Have you ever tried the difference for this kind of terroir and the regular terroir?
Yes, that's what we do, because the picking of these is not done at the same moment as the picking of the other ones. So what we walk through and we take the grapes up there, and from here to there, we come back 2 weeks later. And each pressing goes in a different vat, and then we blend or not, depending on the vintage and on the quality.
But how about the taste?
The taste is different because it's just as different as it can be on one bunch of grape. You can try some others I see you were eating, so that's good. You must do that because it gives you the real idea of what it can be. Here you taste them with a high dilution level. To me, when I taste these, I'm so disappointed. Last week they were wonderful.
It's full of water.
Yes, so it's mellow, and I like them to be sharp, precise in taste.
Unfortunately, you cannot change it.
I know, so that's why we have to play. It's always a gamble. We sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. So it's
it's amazing. Even in the same vineyard, you can find different terroir, different tastes.
It's amazing. But this is what makes Garde-Chaux unique, is that within this very specific area, you have multiplicity of expressions, and what makes the most, I can make 5 different wines. That's what I was saying, more or less. But really distinctly different, just because of the quality of the grapes. These pieces like here, and each wine is nice. But the better wine is the blend of these places. But sometimes there's one place which is really bad for that kind of year, and that part you must not take it. And sometimes, so you have some vintages which have a lot of acidity naturally, some which don't have enough, and in the end you want a wine which is in balance, at least for the taste, not enologically. Sometimes you have a wine that has a lot of acidity and you don't feel it, or vice versa, or it's full of alcohol, but it's not a problem because it's moderated by some sweetness, some softness. That's the magic of wine. There's no recipe you can use precisely.
You have to do it very dynamic, right?
Yes.
So what will one do if that year the very bad vintage, nothing to do with the how about the grape? You just leave it alone, or?
Well, you find a way. We will try a wine. I'm thinking of a wine of a vintage. It rained every day. Not much, but it was humid. Fortunately, it was rather cold, so the fungus didn't develop too fast. And well, I'll tell you.
Okay. It's so windy now.
Okay.
See the finger?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was just checking the map of Gottesholm, just like fingers.
Exactly.
Yeah, the red like part, right?
Yes.
Yes. 你说我们在哪一个地方？
我们现在在
第一块，
不是在第二块，我们在第二块。嗯。
Well, I'm glad you could see it under the sun.
刚好是说这个叫杠的原因是很多石英。
没有，所以有一个说法是这样，但是他说另外一个说法，当初中世纪的时候，他这一块地的缴税就是把1/4的葡萄酒给那个贵族们这样，对，这样做税收，25%的税，干蛮
So here
贵
we
的。
have these terraces, and it's a unique place to.
所以被拿来缴税那块地就是杠的地秀嘛，还是这一整块地的1/4被拿去缴税？
这一块，这里的这一块Gottesholm的税收就是1/4的产量这样子，
保证啊，
真的。
No, it's in between. It's a small valley. Well, when it rains, you have water running down, but.
Oh, the door is open.
It's okay. Next to it.
Okay.
We lost a soldier.
Man down.
Close your eyes. No, okay. It's like a small eagle,
Yeah.
kind of. Not as nice, but.
他们的分法是 Shom 是一级是 Premier Cru，Gottesholm 是官 Cru。另外一张找到的图，
你说什么？Gottesholm 是 然后绿色是什么？
就是 Shihn 这一块是波多杜雷用的 Pinot Gris，然后 Body Shihn 是 Grand Cru，哇，原来这边还有分歧。
法律上的分歧吗？
我不知道，要再 check， 我等一下可以问。
Right. Over the winter, it's protected. Then we have a filtration before working.
Because when I was in Bordeaux, I learned that the Sauternes, they start the fermentation by sous wine.
Yes.
But here the Coteau de Leon is more fresh, so it's because the cold temperature and
It's a better winemaking here.
Oh,
Well, I have to say it, no?
yeah, I know. Everybody will say his kid is the best.
Yes.
Obviously. 不是他们家的。
Which wines did you have to guess for the championship?
什么？
航力，你们猜了哪些酒？
好多啊。
But
The first one is Cava. The second one is Riesling from Germany.
And the third one is Shihn-Yuarn from Sauvignon, but it used too much oak, so we guess it's Chardonnay.
总共有12款。
蒙路易。
总共是12款。
对，12款酒。
蒙路易。
Total 12
Total
wines.
is 12 bottles for blind tasting.
Yes. Okay.
And the fourth is Chardonnay from Australia.
Well, it's number 5. It's number 5.
What number?
Number 5 from Chardonnay from Australia, but it's quite the winemaking skill is quite like orange wine.
Orange wine.
Yeah.
That's not nice to do that.
It's hard.
And how about the last sweet wine?
This sweet wine is Sauternes.
Yeah.
From Chateau Cote.
Sorry?
Chateau Cote. From Sauternes.
That was nice. No?
Yeah.
Was it a good wine?
It's good, but I think much not so as good as the ones you will show us.
I'm sure about it. Yeah, definitely.
看这么小的那里开。 就是
这个开心的。就那个年份，对酸度比较差。
因为热年啊，好像03年嘛
03年
还是哪一年？
太熟，
就是那一年很热啊。又热，然后雨量又少。停车啊！
Thank you.
Are you okay?
You know, this reminds me when I was serving in military.
Yes.
Every boy in Taiwan has to serve in military like 2 years.
Okay, 2 years.
那时候No, right now. It's about 6 months.
Oh, it's cancelled. Now application. It's back, right? Yeah.
那时候还是现在都是1年了，
几个月而已。
现在我当时都是我们都改了，
觉得是好笑的。
他们几个月回来了。我退伍的时候都还去，103年的时候都还去。
台湾什么情况？你怎么跟人家要？还有义务那个都全部都是义务局的。
This is where we were. Now the show. I took this picture during harvest. So we have these little boxes, which are in yellow. But just the fog. You see the tree where we looked at the dark are here behind us. And the river is here. Or, that's the tree. And you can see the fog in the below part. Or like here. Wow. And then when you pick, you see we use these small plastic boxes, which are tiny. Yes. We can pile them up.
And you hire tiny worker, right?
Well, that's the other way to do it. We reinflate them. No, in fact, we deflate them to have concentration. But it's quite long to do, so we do this way too.
Much more efficient. Now, will you specially pick up the botrytis bread or just use the whole bunches?
That's, as you've seen, sometimes you can take an arm or the bottom part or the top part without, otherwise you put everything on the floor and it's lost. So, some vintages like here, you say, okay, I cut this part and I make a very sweet wine with that. That's perfect. Then, if you want to make a super sweet wine, you can cut it here. And you have a few of these, which you can take off by hand, or not. And here, these are they're holding. You remember the ones you've been touching? They're very soft. If you take them, you squeeze them, you break them. And so that's the reason why we use these, because like if they were peaches or pears or fragile fruits, you can pile them. And the idea is to bring them in full shape from the vineyard to the press. And what I want to do is to press them as in between the fingers. And for me, 80% of the wine is done in the vineyard. And the picking of the grape, that's 80%. Then the squeezing, the pressing of the grape, it's 18% of the wine. And then you have 2 or 3% left for fermentation, racking, bottling. But if you fail the cultivation, if you fail the picking, there's nothing you can. If you pick too early, it's too early. If you pick too late, it's too late. And then the pressing is like the cooking. If the fish is fresh and perfectly cooked, and you cook it just in time, not too early because it needs some time the meat needs to rest. If it's meat or if it's a fish, you want it super fresh. If you leave it in the oven slightly too long, it's past. And if it's not enough, it's rare, it's raw, and it's a different thing. And so it's just a timing difficulty. And so to answer your question, either we can fraction it by picking, or like in here, we cannot. And you see, you have not mature grapes, or they're mature, but they're not. These were attacked by botrytis, and then it was windy and dry, and so early stage of botrytis is like this one, for instance, or like the ones you've seen.
Yeah.
You see, the skin was just about to be attacked, but it was still a skin. But after a couple of days, you pass your finger this way, the skin sticks to your finger, but the flesh of the fruit remains intact, good and juicy. And that raisin can be good to make some dry wines because you have the freshness of the fruit, and you don't have the bitterness of the skin.
Okay.
So it can be a grape that you may need I'll show you when we taste. But here in this picture, which was probably one of these, it's too blended. You either you do it by hand like that,
yes.
And we've been doing it. We've been trying to do it to see, and it doesn't make sense. And here they're dry. But if you had like in 2012 that vintage when it rained a lot, and what can you do if you have water in addition to that? So what we do, we take these. We put them in a cold room, and of course the water goes through because there's no it's holes.
Yeah.
But still you still have you cannot dry them up with an air machine or something. So what we do is we put them in a cold room. We bring temperature down to 0 or -1. The water freezes.
Yes.
And then we put them frozen, partly frozen. The green ones, the water is frozen. So we put this in the press, and then we've been pressing, and the water is ice. The water remains in the press, and we only have the fruit juice, the rich juice.
Oh, okay.
And if these were, for me, if you make a sweet wine just from these, if it's made in Sauternes, in South Africa, in Florida, in Australia, it tastes alike, or in Germany. I exaggerate, but it tastes of botrytis.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's Gewürztraminer, you can feel that because it's a very aromatical grape.
Yes.
But Shihn-Yuarn is very neutral. Semillon, not so neutral, but Riesling is very neutral. And you feel botrytis more than the grape, and the grape itself is not very important, but you lose the sense of the origin of where the grape comes from. Mm-hmm. And for me, that lacks of interest. Anyone can make a wine from that. Mm-hmm. You just need to have that, but if you have it, you can do it. But then the wine remains okay, it's a sweet, rich wine, but
like every year.
Yes, and what I want, because we're lucky to have fields which are very special, is just to show and to share the taste of this place. And then someone who drinks a carte de chaume, many people don't like to drink sweet wines. When they visit us, you don't. Well,
I love.
You love, okay. Yeah. but many times, they come to buy a Savigny, for instance, or red wine, or they say, you must try it. So we force them to drink it. But No, and if I serve my best Coteaux du Léon, people remain on their position. And, normal customers, people who don't know about the story, about how you make wine and all this. And if you serve them a good Cave de Chaume, they put it in the mouth and say, oh, that's sweet. No. And once they swallow it, it leaves the palate fresh. It's not cloyy or sticky. Mm-hmm. And strangely, it doesn't work all the time, but quite often we have people who say, hey, this I can drink, this I enjoy. And what makes the difference between a Cave de Chaume and a Coteaux du Léon is that if the Cave de Chaume is well made, you have it has some nerve, some breed that the other fields don't bring. And so if you carry these in a trailer like we've seen, just by the weight, even in boxes that are this deep, it's too deep. You see all these that are on the floor? Yeah. They're so fragile. So if you have a maceration, because my idea to press, and then we will taste, because I'm telling you, because you're very attentive, so I think it's nice that I tell you. But for me, the pressing, which is very, very important, is like we take one of these, and if you press it gently, you have a very liquid drop that comes out first. And then if you press a little harder, you have the flesh and the seeds. Mm-hmm. And then if you press a little harder, you have the juice which is around the skin. And if you press even harder, you have the juice that is in the skin. Mm-hmm. And so the first juice, so this is what we do, except that we don't do it one by one, but we squeeze a whole bunch in the press, but with not a, it's like we put the fruit gently in the press, and then it's in a rubber inside, and we inflate it to reproduce that. And so the first juice, yes, and the first juice I put it in one vat, the second in another one, the third, and after each pressing I have in between 5 to 8 different quality of juices from the same picking, from the same day or of picking, and the first one has more acidity, the second has more sugar, the third has more tannins, and the very, very first, just when we feel the press, still some grapes get damaged, and so the first juice comes out. It's full of dust, it's full of, you see all this waxy part. It's full of yeast also, but also dust. So that's the earth taste, but it's not good. it's just...
So you don't use the first round of the juice, you start from second round?
Yes. In fact, I do for all wines. The sparkling wines, we make sparkling wines, and so you know how champagne is made. So it's more or less the same process, except that we go further in the selection. In champagne, you can take la cuvée, but before we get la cuvée, I have 2 different juices. And I wait for the following day. It deposits, in small 1,000 liter vats or 300 or less, depending on the size of the press. But if it's good after racking, maybe I can blend it or not. This I will see.
所以要去做 testing， 要不然我们大概下一家。
Shall we taste the wine?
Yes.
I can't wait.
所以我们的这边可以做这种后半学。
后半学比较好，流速比较快。所以想说要很快啊，现在还待1个小时。
Would you like a sparkling wine to start with?
Yeah, of course.
You prefer to be standing or sitting to taste?
I think standing is easier if someone get a chair to sit. It's also fine.
As you want.
But I'm okay with standing.
Yeah, I'm okay with standing.
As you want. I will be standing because I move around, but do sit if you want to write or So this is going to be a little harsh after coffee, or I don't know if you had a proper lunch.
So good.
Yep, it's okay.
Okay. So welcome.
Merci.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is carte turquoise. It's made like, take a chair if you want. Yes. We can bring it back. Okay. Yes. So. This is made out of, it's a blend of, it's made like champagne is made, so exactly the same principle. But it's made here, and it's a blend of Cabernet Franc, Chardonnay, and Chenin Blanc.
Okay. Wow.
And Cabernet.
I just finished. It's so good.
You want a little
Yeah.
more?
Thank you.
Cabernet Franc, so it's a red grape.
Yes, but it's a grape that has red skin and white flesh. So it is good, as I said. We only take, it's not even pink. The juice is, the cuvée juice is pure white. And so for this one, I only take cuvée juices for the Cabernet, and for the Chenin, also only cuvée juices, and for the Chardonnay, I use cuvée and tile. So I go a little further to give browns.
Cuvée. Are you referring to cuvée? Is like blending or?
No. Cuvée is the cuvée of champagne making. The first juice.
Okay.
That's the first juice.
Cuvée 什么意思？
就是第一道汁啊。
Okay.
The one which has more acidity and less the taste of the grape. That's why the blind tasting, the person who guesses Cabernet Franc is bullshitting others, because you cannot feel the taste. But it's also it's a secret to have fine bubbles. I don't know why, but the Cabernet allows fine bubbles.
What is the percentage of Cabernet?
Well, it varies from a vintage to another, but it's almost 50% Cabernet.
50.
Yes.
Wow.
And of course, I don't always say this because here people expect Chenin Blanc.
Yeah, probably it tastes another as Chenin Blanc.
But the Chenin Blanc here is too strong in expressions. And so I need to moderate it. And also our vineyards have very small yields, and so it's not. It's not. Voilà. Do you want to try a rosé one?
Yes.
To
Okay.
see?
Yes. 哇，这些好细致，好好喝。它蟹腐当然也可以做这样。
那个
那是蟹腐，它的那个全部。
蟹腐 Chardonnay Chenin Blanc，然后蟹腐50，
然后可以做这样这么细的口感。
我觉得它的第一道汁真的很轻。他说他蟹腐只拿第一道汁，
然后而且它没有颜色。
一定是没有颜色，但是我猜他可能压的真的很轻，因为奎梦的话，它可以压到100公斤可以压60 生出来。
100公斤压的，
但是我这次猜它可能压的更少吧。
所以搞不好少搞不好就40，或是。
要不然它那个果皮的味道应该会有进来。
蛮细的。
Do you know any of our wines? Have you tasted our wines?
I only taste your Côte de Léon and maybe once or twice Quartichon. Yeah.
Okay, and Sauvignon? No.
Sauvignon, no.
No.
Oh yes. Probably just one or two times.
We test 2 times in wine tasting practice.
So this one is made 80% of Cabernet Franc and 20% of Gros, which is
Gros noir or Gros green.
Gros noir. But yeah, but Gros, I use Gros to moderate the Cabernet in taste, because in this one I use the Cabernet Cuvée and Métal, so you do have the Cabernet taste. This one, people usually like it or not at all because it has the Cabernet character. Maybe there is.
What character do you like?
No, the character. And
喝西服的气泡酒。
这个它就有说有加第2道汁啊。
Do you mind putting it or?
对，这个好明显。
It's so Cabernet Franc.
Yeah, it shows precisely the green pepper.
Yes.
Of the Cabernet Franc.
Very unique. And
So-
again, the bubble is still fine. Huh?
Well, the glasses are not. I can serve it in flutes. It's just,
That's fine. It's okay. So the red color is from Cabernet Franc or from Gros?
it's from Cabernet Franc,
Okay.
but it's not from the skin of the Cabernet Franc which we pressed. In fact, very little, because when when we press L'Italie, we press a little harder. And
You will have some color.
yes, well, we don't press harder, but we've been moving the grape. La cuvée, we put the grape, if the grape is my face, and we squeeze it. Okay, once, twice, 3 and 4 times, without moving the grape. After this, it's the end of the cuvée. Then we turn the head, and we squeeze it again.
Again, okay.
And you extract much more all of a sudden.
It's a typhoon.
Wow.
Yes. And I think I left the rooftop of the car open.
Wow. 瞬间就暴雨。哇。
It's like storm.
How would it be? Just 20 minutes.
Yes. Right.
他们是气象专家，很厉害。
How could you tell? You just say maybe 1 hour or 2 hours later, someone coming.
Well,
So this is not good for grape, huh?
no, it's terrible. That's why I'm happy I picked most of them.
其实
We will make very little wine this year.
okay, because of the climate.
Yeah, I've heard about that. The weather forecast department of France is so smart to give the correct information for
他们在那个采收的功能，应该是马上
赶快跑啊！
幸好他们采了，不然就完了。这个
But
但是因为现在采了，因为前几天有下雨，所以它也会比较水。
they give you the right tendency. Then, like in Angers, it rains not twice as much, but a lot more than here because of the river.
Okay.
And we know, like seeing the sky when we were there, from where we were, I knew it was going to arrive. I would have bet. Sometimes I wouldn't bet, but
So I've noticed there is a little bit bitterness finish.
yes,
Or this wine, it came from
maybe in Italy.
Yeah, wait. 第二道是 the second press.
I guess it might work well with like food pairing. Yeah?
Well, this wine goes. It's one of the rare wine that goes well with chocolate. But all red fruits, it's fine.
另外一支这样。
So now, I'm thinking I have a roof window which is open. So maybe
I can serve that one.
yes. Can you
No problem.
enjoy this one? This is
can
all
drink
right.
it.
Just black light.
We can drink it.
他出底通会开，他要去处理一下。看这个还有这个都长了。
对，真的是辛苦啊，很辛苦。
他居然是用那个安装盖，
他们家是有很多水盖的。
哦，没过。哦，打脸没事，想不到，打脸洗。
dry 的吗？
哦，好好喝哦，哦，它有那个风味，好好喝，那已经
赶快来，让后面的人喝啦。
要台阶的全都它这块地估计它是用，
它那个土会回甘的。
要完全这种风味。
那再来，我觉得它这个泡可以撑很久，一定可以撑很久。
酒精浓度12.5，
它怎么有一点那个士力的，不是那个澳洲的
我知道你在讲
生命用的味道，
对吧？有点像飞机。
一开始一样。
青草，它有加消毒内。
这支啊，
难怪比较
有消毒内味。
那对也有消毒内味，比女靴比较圆滑。
这支我不爱。这支我不爱。
它有些那个金属味。
对啊，很像澳洲的金属味啊，然后有点像生命用的那个气味这样子。
因为它早产会产生那个劲味，然后再加上全盖，跟全盖不是有，我觉得也有，然后还有它的或许没有，可是喝起来不像没有执行这种发酵。
这我觉得有点偏短。
我真的可以感受到那种，如果是他的话，看到下中雨，这整个心都凉，干，真的有点干。
都要采收了，
全部采完了吗？
没有啊，没有啊。
对啊，
那我分了，它有一些已经采了，然后剩下一部分了。
他也是决定先采一些，因为还没采完，我看到这个，我看我这个整个干死，然后种了
因为今年看起来产量会变少。
Take your time.
就进去自己开喝吧。可是这个我不会说需要走。后来啊，
哇，
这样快啊！
相当的比例应该不少，
不知道。
但这个我觉得还是 CB 多。
我还猜至少60-40、70-30。
What's the percentage of the Shihn-Yuarn and shadow band?
It's about 50-50.
50-50.
Okay. Just about. Yes.
I'm surprised of that kind of blend. It came out very good. It turned out very good because it gives more roundness.
Yes.
And more flavor. And we all wonder, there was a flavor like plenty flavor, like plenty and mineral flavor. Where does it come from? Do you know what flavor I'm wondering about?
It comes from the fruit, pure fruit. And then the soil, and so all our wines they are only 100% pure fruit juice, natural fruit juice. So my goal from, as I told you, is picking and then my dream would be to take the grape and to put it directly in the bottle. That's
稍微早熟，早采吧，然后才能那个进去。
So try to not touch as much as you could, right? But I like it. It's very balanced, round, and meantime very
谁这样？刚喝的那只
very different.
会不会皱？
Interesting.
会不会皱？
Maybe I can serve in another glass so you can keep one glass the next.
Thank you.
他直接倒下去。我是没事。
I will definitely
不想让它陷入杯子。
I pour always the next
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
So now this one is a 7-year. So the installation wherever you were. And it's a 2017, which for me is
这个吗？
哇，好清爽。
Yes.
所以说这种中体的味道，有点像你在德国的味道，那种石头味道。对呀，
就你像那个机器会有那种木花的花香，
你怎么知道机器怎么
是闻到那个石头味道。For me, just use the remainder stem. Don't wash too much out of the glass.
Thank you.
Well, I poured them, so it's okay.
他已经到了。Oh, you're referring?
Thank you.
I put 3.
这个好喝啊，
一样的。
You have one?
Yeah, I have one already.
Thank you.
This papillon？
Yes.
这个有那个金属味，有，是金属味很多。可是它是比较内敛的，它不是那种一个很啪是金属这样，它是很内敛的。你又可以拿这个来表。有人猜哦，这个我喜欢哦，对，这个很柑橘。
你知道我在猜什么吗？就是这个阿里哥的味道。
哦，有一点，可是有金属味啊。
这个
阿里哥的也可以这样子。
这怎么才CB 啊？
而且口感像吗？口感像，那口感像很
那我就猜汉哥贝利CB 啊。
这好难哦，但好好喝。第二支好好喝。
你说papillon的？
嗯。
它的风格差异怎么知道呢？那个生叶子是很花香，然后转到papillon整个变很柑橘，然后还有茶。可以问他这中间做了什么事情？
就跟他泡茶
是都当地被丰富的是incroyable。
Oui.
What?
It's made from same clay,
Yeah.
same type of soil and subsoil, same vine making, vine growing, same wine making, but two different vintages here, and 2 different fields. So that these fields express always differently things. But the main difference today of these 2 wines is that this 2017 is this baby, it's infanticide in fact to drink. It's fruit juice and you don't have the terroir expressions yet.
Okay.
It's and in Savagnin the wines loses its fruitiness after 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And progressively gains second and third type aromas. And little by little you can guess where it comes from. On the previous, on the 17, it's hard to know where it comes from. But the minerality of the wine comes with time.
So you really appreciate the minerals.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
So these 2 wines are from different part of vineyard. Okay.
The papillon is the one that was behind the church. You couldn't see from upstairs. Yes. And Clos-Saint-Yves is in between la coulée de l'océan, or la Roche-aux-Moines, and Clos du Papillon.
Okay.
Donc le papillon c'est plus loin.
It's more to the west. C'est plus à l'ouest. Mais it really is the subsoil that makes the difference.
Okay.
Something we don't master. There's nothing we can do to it.
Okay. I like papillon.
Yes?
Papillon. Personally, I feel papillon is much better than heap. I prefer papillon. Very nice.
Well, especially on this vintage. 17 was a difficult vintage. I didn't make any Clos du Papillon in 17. So the Papillon is in the 17. But nevertheless, it's a wine that will gain in complexity over time and be an interesting wine too. But today it's true that you can be disappointed. And,
Do you make the wine with how you deal with the leaves?
I will tell you. I'll take another bottle. It's just there's time running, and I want to be sure that you can try that wine.
Okay, thank you.
大雅没有进这2款，对不对？
好像没有。有吗？
奇怪，台湾 这个突然每一间都有人进了，他们每次要找7-Eleven都找不到啊。真的啊？
你是没有问网红
对，
所以就我把它找过来所谓的沙漠地理风格，你要定位在什么？
我觉得跟我喝的不一样，像这两支完全是迥异的风格。像这一支，如果我猜的话，这么花香，
你要猜哪？
我搞不来猜它是那个比较像乌黑那种东西这样，但是我喝的 sampling rate 不够多啊。
就是还有他说，沙漠地理的风格会比乌黑还要重，那你现在喝的你觉得？
光这两支就非常不一样，然后但是乌黑的风格。
好
I'm going to compare. Well, it's to show you how different it can be from a vintage to another. And so you have warm vintages and cooler vintages. And so maybe we can try 10 years older wine, which is from a cold vintage, and it's vintage 2004. Well, it's not every day that we have visitors from some fire. But it's funny, last week I had a group of sommeliers, Cru Papillon, 2004.
4.
And so maybe we can leave this in one glass and
这就是最后那一支的新式年味。
用的同年份是年份。
调性很像吗？
调性很像，但是我想很好。
怎么可能再找到04啊？
这
好棒哦！新品我会有更多。
但风格跟风格很像。
对，两个风格很像，我有一个就更老，但是我这个就是那个粽叶的味道。
但我觉得那个
13这个现在的味道就是粽子叶蒸过的那种。这个更多，04更多。04我觉得是黄调的。
Yes, he's great man.
这完全。
I've known him for a long time. That's why he told me.
而且他用旋盖就一点都没有老的感觉。
这个我觉得也是一个时代的一个现象。
这种好作弊哦。
对，这种旋盖的这种
就说那个南非他们队有
味道沉淀
啊。
南非队
They haven't been champion.
南非那队有来。
哦
，OK， 这必
So maybe if you can keep some of the 13, and I will serve you the other vintage is 2006,
再给你喝一个06，
which was to me a classical vintage. So it's important that you see it's extremely.
按照你留13的，然后喝一个06。
And Chenin Blanc from Savagnin can be very, we have similar soils as we have in the Rhine or the Moselle, in Germany, or even in some part of France. And so the cold vintage, like before, it can be Riesling-like style of wine, a very sharp focus, bone dry. But then it can be also done the Burgundian way, which is more like Meursault or even some Puligny, which is slightly around fuller. For me, the ones I like very much are like Montrachet's without any oak.
Have you ever tried that Montrachet without oak?
I have, but in the cellar. From the vat, the small vat that was used to top up the other barrels. Mm-hmm. And on Montrachet once, but I've done it a lot more on Meursault and Puligny. And frankly, for me, the best wines are just the fruit juice. And as you said, you had a tasting an overall Chenin Blanc. What's the point? It can be so international. It's a recipe. It's not. you can make a nice wine, but it's not a terroir wine. I want to show you the taste of where we live. Without any...
故乡好清秀。
Very floral, tropical, honey, almond，而且比较酸一点，超酸。有点蔬菜味，有一点点。所以你要来表达。
因为我觉得这个是我印象中的 7-8，就是那种很比较 chewy， 它是那种比较哇，但 party 是很 impact。
这个好。
So this is we don't have too many 7-8 here in Taiwan. So I've been looking for.
You should complain to your importer.
You should. You know, 7-8 is one of my favorites. I should say my favorite. Yes, but I don't. It's too bad. Whenever I want to find 7-8, I need to bring it back from maybe overseas to Taiwan. So I really impressed. For this one, I think this is my typical like classical 7-8.
Yes, I agree. That's why I wanted you to try it. It's not overshowing. It's not saying I'm the strongest, but it has character. But it's not a winner in a white wine tasting because it's quite discreet.
Well, I think the structure is there, but it's like very humble one. But you can see how good it is because it's very strong inside. Very strong inside. So the palate is still very impressive. I think this is the one I'm looking for.
And you see 2004 and 2006 were vintages. 2004 was undrinkable until maybe 2-3 years old, 2-3 years from now, because it was so tight and focused. And today you can enjoy it with you have a ceviche or you have with the food you have in Taiwan. I'm sure you have some pure things that could match. Yes. Even better than with our food here. And so we only began selling it 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh.
And then also only to very few people because it's a wine that has a character that can be disturbing to seduce the most. And there was a similar case for 06, which was rather close and too discreet, and it came next to in between 5 and 7. 5 was I'm here, I'm strong, and 7 was a very hot year. And if you want to try one, maybe
7?
Yes. So you'll see it was. It's like you have around a table 2 persons talking loudly all the time, and you have this other person in between. The person says, "No, this is."
这应该不是顺序吧？
是。
So
yeah. So the 06 is the last one, right?
Yes.
So like this.
No.
This one. Okay. So this is the last one.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you want to go back to one of these, you just help yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. This is what I'm doing. 转过来看一下。131416 OK。1304吧。
So compared to you go first.
13也很好喝。
相比之下，06好，超级好喝。06真的超级好喝。
那所以叫做
classic。
对他来说是 classic。
我觉得反而是中间那个是比较空一点，那个04的那个06呢，这个是不同风格。07。
So you can see the influence of the vintages.
So every vintage you have a different color
of
the
butterfly.
That's all we can do about marketing, but it's not very efficient.
How many colors do you have?
Many.
How many colors do you have?
Oh, there are.
Countless.
Yes.
But why butterfly?
Because the field has the shape of a butterfly.
Papillon 就是蝴蝶啊。
OK，
刚有讲。
哦，那个就是蝴蝶。
老师在讲，你没有在听。
因为我刚才也没听懂，为什么一直在讲蝴蝶那个事情？
就是它那块地象
啊。
So it's not a wine to drink like now. It's a food wine, like most Sauvignon. And the current vintage we're selling in France is 13. Because for me, it's the one that drinks just okay now. But it's good.
Thank you.
奇怪，它这个跟上面里面为什么是？为什么？这上面有
不同风格。
我觉得好香哦。It's totally different.
哇，这比较像甜酒。
这已经变成那个蜂蜜菊花茶了。
对，有些菊花茶。
It smells like honey
and chamomile. 哦，看这个我喜欢。
Wow, the variation is so huge.
You know what? I think you said it's not ready, right? I think for me it's ready. I like it.
Oh yeah, no, it's ready, but you can keep it for longer, and it's ready. Yes, but it's a wine that can match spices, salt and sugar.
哇，它尾韵好多香料味啊。
Same.
我觉得像是有点像菩萨。
但酸度就不像了。
酒精度也不像，可是问题是它的香气
也很，
它每一个年份上面它
就比融合那东西就 elegant， 因为融合其实还是靠桶，那这个东西我觉得是靠 Shihn-Yuarn 它自己本身带出来的味道。
Shihn-Yuarn 的 variation 好大，它每个年份可以差这么多。
Shihn-Yuarn 真的是我觉得平常我最想要抽出来喝的酒，就是可能是手阿梅或者是那种鲁瓦的Shihn-Yuarn这样。就平常真的会很抽出来，
为什么这个尾韵会有那种泡皮的味道？
是的 classic. Mais the middle c'est oh the laissez c'est bon.
酒精浓度多少
？06吗？
这个是最高的，
没有，最后一次下降是
最高的。14.5
3.5，差好多，差1度。
气的热，这个真的就是糟蹋了。感觉到有点像，因为我刚刚闻的时候有点像手感有点酒那种感觉。
而且好热哦。
What's the characteristic of 2007 climate? Because it showed more alcohol than other.
Yes, it was a very dry year.
Okay.
And we had a lot of. I can show you the grapes we.
看这我真的要吹胡子。
没有，这个东西我觉得还是靠酒精去判断，我觉得还是没这么烧。
I took the picture. I showed you. It's.
Let's see.
It's okay. We can show one.
Okay. Well, you see, to make a dry white wine, we can take these.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we can also, like in the 07, take these.
Okay. A little bit botrytis.
Well, early stage of botrytis. Like here, you pass your finger on this one, the skin disappears, but the flesh is fine.
Yeah.
But in 07, we had quite a few of concentrated.
Okay.
So they're much richer in sugar. And so the level of alcohol is also stronger. I don't recall.
14.5.
Which you can feel also. And that's why you can have a meal that has spices in, and then it doesn't feel that. It which is all a soft wine. While with the 2006, if you put a spicy fruit in it,
跟尼可拉斯凯奇比起来，当然贵不会说很淡。尼可拉斯凯奇其实那个库雷对彩虹几乎都有那个味道。
So the second one is 2004, right?
Just turn the label bit.
2004, 6, and 7.
为什么变这样？
反正就这样。
that's the order.
这里还有一瓶啊，
这个是
白过桥。
第一个我喝完。Oh, yeah. I finished the first one, so I'm referring to 2004. So to me, 2004 is quite different to 6 or 7. 6 and 7 for me, to me, is like 6 very balanced, very elegant, very humble, but very structural. But 07 is strong, very outward, very show. But how about 04? 04 is very quiet.
他说04是冷的年份，然后06是金的年，然后07是很干的年。
干的。
So it's all about the weather. So 04 is the coolest. So did you do anything different or?
I just try to do my best.
The best is different.
So it's not easy to, when you
他桌子不是，他桌子不是方形，但是我觉得虽然苦，就是07虽然很容易，但是它尾韵没有那么好。
我觉得是06，它口拉丝真的是平衡。
how will it be?
Yeah.
I mean, like you feel it's stronger, cleaner, or
Well, we had severe frost over the winter, so 25 maturity is very uneven, and frankly, if someone tells you how good 1919 is going to be today, this person is
他2015的前酒庄，他看他后面有机会吃了，他只是想他没有1 spade 98分，跟葡萄超像05，对15，就是15。
So, no. We'll see later.
So about your sweet wine, it's possible to taste the Quatashon 2015. You know, it's one of the best sweet wine in Wine Spectator this year, last year, right?
Yes, I didn't remember this, but
So out.
No, we are not selling it yet. Really, in France, in Europe, we are, and we sold a few cases in America because of that. Yeah. But it's infanticide. But we can try some more. I'm not sure. I don't even know I have a 15 here in the fridge.
Okay. 没有，他说他不知道他有没有英文。对，
因为我通灵解释
因为我餐厅现在在做 Wine Spectator 的餐，我是用2010年去代替他的英语，因为我台湾大牙根本就没有经历，因为他得奖的是英语。
因为他是刚说他只有卖几箱去美国而已，
所以
还没有正式卖。
我很就是在就是台湾。
所以那他美国到底是指？
应该只是 for 那个 Wine Spectator 的 testing。
OK， 有可能。刚刚离心越来越有比约米的味道。
对，
shit。
对，
这个要从口感上面判断。
对，又不上味道越来越重，好恐怖哦。
哦，好，可以，这样就可以聊很多了。
If you have some O4 in one of these glass, put the O4 aside glass because the aftertaste, the taste is so strong for the following wine. It's better to put in a different.
Now we will take a new glass also. So you suggest to get a new glass?
Well, but not in the same glass as you.
Okay, thank you.
So this one is our Coteau du Léon Carte d'Or, which is our simplest Coteau du Léon, the lightest.
Coteau du Léon就这样，Coteau du Léon就这样。
Wow, very tropical pineapple.
And
Sweetness is so comfortable.
Oh, almost with heaven.
No, we were not kidding. I personally like it much better than saute. So crispy.
you see, I see what you mean, and I agree, in fact, that that's why I make my sweet wines not the way we're taught to do, but by what we learn at school or what we hear with our colleagues. Many colleagues.
2015年我有2瓶，这次我有2瓶，还好。
I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just saying that it's not the best I want. And so,
跟 DSB
this
的
wine,
开机
you
柜
have your glass,
垂直
it's
换。
made with the whole bunch. You have this much of this variety of grapes, and you see you have concentration, you have botrytis, but you also a lot of fruit, yes, which are coming just mature fruit, which brings freshness and crunchiness, and which allows you to drink it by. Yes.
Thanks God, I still have 2 bottles of this Coteau du Léon, 2015. And I will drink some wines from
you
yours.
just take this pairing with the goat cheese.
Yes.
Or some fruit tart with goat cheese. Lovely.
With the Roquefort.
shit，
这包多少钱呢？包
Coteau du Léon 15年11块。
的价钱11点5。可是它这个是12瓶的价钱，每瓶多少？
对啊。
可是这至于好像又有加运费这样。
我看一下。
要注意时间吗？
嗯。
I'm not telling you the vintage. Starts by a 2, but.
Okay. You let them guess since
Let me guess. No, it's a piece.
Guess the vintage.
Yeah.
Well, it's not to trap you. It's very hard to if you've never tried it.
哇哦！哎，怎么有点玉米味啊？有啊。
这有口筒。How long do you age your wines in barrel?
So, we bottle the wines after 1 year of 9 months, like babies, but if we're late, if it's 12 or 13 months, it's not a problem. So, and then because you wanted to know about the leaves also. And so, I leave the wines on fine leaves, super fine leaves. And sometimes there's almost no leaves. And then we do some batonnage or not, depending on the vintage.
Okay.
And after about a year in vats, we begin with small vats, and then we blend it to have the volume. But there is no oak at all.
No oak?
No oak.
All your wine?
All wine.
Okay.
0 oak, just fruit juice.
So you don't use new oak?
No.
No oak.
No oak.
It's very so.
I want the fruit you've been eating. I'm sorry they were not the greatest fruits, but that's what I want you to taste, my consumers. And when I came out of school, I knew everything about everything as any French arrogant French boy. And I was telling my father I had been in Burgundy, Bordeaux, south of France, and elsewhere, and they all use barrels and so on. It's not good in barrels, I thought. And my father told me, don't do the same mistakes I did. And so, because I knew everything, I thought I knew everything, of course. I knew nothing. What you learn elsewhere does not apply here. It's very different. And he always said...
如果要猜07年，我会猜
一定是07或06，
我会猜06。
这跟那两只的属性很像，尤其07，它就很 powerful。
C'est le 2006 ou 2005.
Oh, yeah. No.
Non, c'est plus vieux ou...
No, it's younger. It's younger.
2011.
2012.
Definitely. 12? No.
12是吗？OK.
Really?
2012.
Yes.
Why?
No, why? It's the truth.
I thought
Why is on label?
Please continue your story with your father.
Well, and then he told me a wine needs about 10 years to recover from an oak aging,
他是教育家，
to show again its origin.
葡萄酒酿造术，
You know, and it's like
代表性。
if we compare it with us, you're born here, in a place or in another. Your education makes you different, richer or poorer or different, and the way
You're more aggressive, you're super competent.
yes, you follow fashion or whatever ideas, which can be good or not. But after a while, the true yourself comes out, but it's been damaged or enhanced by something. But for wine, and for the style of wine my father wanted to do and I want to do this. Took me
就大概10几块
2 years to understand. So I've been using it, but I gave up because I think there's so much get from that.
买150以上的话是9块，
If you add
但如果等于是一支的话会更贵
you。bring something more to the wine, and which makes it
大
more
牙
understandable.
的话，科特杜雷用一支好像1300、1400。
And you can sell it at a higher
那
price.
1300，但是就才30
People are happy.
I like the word.
But
Maybe it's untenable, but
It's like you dress very expensive clothes, and everybody likes you, but it's not a real
yes, they don't like you because of you.
You wear the LV and
就是喝起来的 quality 口感
And for the
几
wine
乎
it's
一样
the。same. So when it's 200% oak, why not?
大牙的那个运送真的不
It's
错。
not what I want to do. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, but
because
it's just what you choose and you want to do your own thing.
yes, and I think there is much more to. I think it's like it's like cheating, or it's like racking, or it's like too much makeup, or it's like.
I think it's the word you just said, entertainable, is pleasing, but it's not expressing the background, you know, the grape itself or what you want to do.
喝完后面这样甜酒再回去
Yeah,
喝
maybe it's kind of cheating because
那
you
个
can
到
make it
06年的没有味道
You。can make it very well, like you're like, oh,
没有味道。
this is big. I like full of this flavor, that flavor, but it's just not expressing
你知道我觉得它正常
what you want to
没有
do.
到。
No, I agree with that. You have to be honest to yourself. we can.
常常会有这种盲点，
I personally
然后你
feel
就
you that
你就
what you want to do
就
is
就是
you try to
它是手
respect.
还是头盖，
还是
举红送，
举红送，OK。他的样把这压个或是头盖的，像这个的话就完全不会有那个烧根性的味道。
而且它的meantime you still respect the
没有那么重。
the terroir and the tradition. Like it.
张还买不完了。
So yeah,
Actually, I saw your father reading a book. What
完
is
蛋了，我
that
到
book
我
about?
到底怎么带回去？因为我飞吃饭，这样子就飞很快。
这个真的大牙买了，虽然比较贵，
没有比较贵 OK 啦，我觉得你大牙买。
就这个大买就好了。除非你一定要老年份的不可。
我是蛮喜欢它的，它有3个年份，我觉得它就像它4支，我觉得非常可以值得对比，就是那04、06、07跟。
现在我拍这个
15是别枝啊，它不是 papillon 啊，它是那个后
13、04、06、07。
这个卢小，卢小的 Tony。
我没办法回去交差，我现在正在餐厅那边做活动。
买一瓶，买一瓶，跟他买一瓶。
可以啊，当然可以。对啊，你问他衣服，他如果他的报价单上面没有写，
所以就是直接问他，跟他买一瓶。
可不可以卖一瓶给你？
你就跟他讲说你餐厅要做活动。2015.
He won't tell you.
Because there's no label for the vintage.
Guess it. Wow. He really want to try, or he want to buy one.
Because he's a sommelier. Tony is a sommelier, and he is running a special event.
We have a wine special event now in my restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, we use your quatashon for the dessert. Yeah, but I cannot take the 15, so I take the 2010 instead of the 15. But people tell me, why don't have the 15? I say, sorry, the African don't import the 15. Sorry. So why I come here? I have to taste the 15.
所以这哇，说什么都 passion fruit，
哇，
它是那种很 hard， 这就有点像。
I need to have a word with Shihn-Yuarn. She's not doing the job. She should import more.
Yeah.
But I know it's difficult. I'm saying this, I exaggerate, but no, but it's you know, on special demands, whenever you have a need and you don't get it from your importer, write to me.
Okay.
Because then I can say, hey,
You have a
no,
demand here.
but it's you know, we're partners, and it's important that, and we are even partners too, you know, because in the end, you are the person who is selling the wine, and without you, I can make wine, but if I don't sell it, I cannot continue to make a living and to pay to the people to do it and so on.
The wine is beautiful, so we should push in the Sumin to import your wine more, right?
Yes. And so you could have all vintages and have vertical tastings and make your customers happy. You know.
She ordered too much Burgundy wine.
To France, I never taste any Côte de Leon, and it's my French friends. She really like Côte de Leon, and she's like, oh come on, I showed you this wine, you will love it, and I just try like, oh my god, yeah. And I didn't know any wine importer in Taiwan imported, but now I know. Yeah. It's good that we can find it at the same time.
他的那个研究真的
Excuse me, may I ask a question about the label? The label shows the Grand Cru, but is it official regulation or just
official classification?
Yes, it is official.
Okay.
French government.
Okay, so 就是 when we are driving in the vineyards, I just find some information on Google and find a map says that Shihn is a premier cru and Shihn is a grand cru.
Yes.
So it's true. Is it true?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
But
because in many textbooks there's no mention about this.
Yeah. Well, because the first year it became Grand Cru was 2012.
2012.
This one, it doesn't say Grand Cru.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't bear it? It's on label.
And this is okay.
You have to pay the tax.
Sorry.
Oh no.
You need to pay the tax to.
Put the tax.
Oh yes, no, but the wines from Shihn have always been Grand Cru.
Okay.
With all knowledgeable French people about wine and elsewhere, but it was not classified that way as in Burgundy or in Bordeaux. And so one day they thought, okay, it's not good marketing there. So if it says Grand Cru on the label in the supermarket, it's going to sell more. Yeah. That's what they thought. And it's true for large production wines and so on. But Shihn except amateur, no one knows that. So you have to go through the wine once. And all our wines, we export almost 70% of our wines anywhere in the world, just because of you serving it to your friends and like this, word of mouth. Yes, and so, well anyway, so the producers here decided to go to this E&O official leverage. For me it's purely marketing. And Shihn, which gets Grand Cru, Premier Cru, it's pure bullshit. You have some, really, you have great vineyards, but like in Rochefort or in every village, there is a spot where you have the growers. They know that this field here is better, and it's been better not just because I decided it's better. It's just because historically the wines coming from there, even if the winemaker was not good, when nature makes the wine its own, it's always better. And this is known. And that's why I'm against the AOC system, the French system, which is completely narrow-minded, backward, reactionnaire. They're from another century. It's technocrats who have no clue of the evolution of things, and to make this Grand Cru and Premier Cru and Normal Cru selection, they changed the rules, and so they said if you want to be Grand Cru, you have to be less something or more something, and so they've changed the technical rules, like the alcohol level of potential level of sugar in the grapes has to be of this level, super high. Like to make this wine, legally you have to pick these grapes.
Very condensed one, very dry one.
Yes. So, and you remember what I told you? Do you think I like that?
No, you
No
character,
right?
For me, this wine, I made it with this.
No wonder.
So
that's why we have freshness, crunchiness,
No wonder.
and also richness. But it's not, it's not I don't want a wine where you have a glass, a spoonful before you blow to the candle and you go to bed. I want wine that we can. Let's have another one. It has to be joyful. And you can drink a glass or two or three you will never be
headache.
It's the digestibility of it.
How do you keep your body so well? You got doing well,
但
right?
是我会这样子哦，就是类似，就反正他的意思就是说，他没有完全都是这样子，
It's very healthy.
对，
The
不完
purest
全
water
都是
is
全贵
vegetable
这
water.
样子。
Okay.
It's not
就是
mineral.
可是因为这种东西真的没有法规去规定，画的样子，所以我觉得这是一个很大的问题。我怎么样去做，其实没人知道，他说怎样就怎样。
Or there are other concrete
No, it's the first
因为
one.
因为像这个的话，它就只有规，我记得好像也只有规范那个糖度而已。
Like the Clos Sainte-Catherine, where we stood
Yeah.
where we were, and we look over that spot is fantastic. It makes wines very different, with more elegance, more femininity. Cabernet Sauvignon is a kind of masculine wine, more, average way. Clos Sainte-Catherine is pure elegance, it's delicacy, it's and in the next village there's a spot called Blanche or called whatever, like you have in Burgundy. But in Burgundy you have, it's a stairway, you know that, and so every step it can be described differently. Here it's a larger scale, it's different scale. But what's funny, and that's why I'm always proud of showing 2012. Because in 2012, because of this new rule, completely idiots, only 2 growers managed to make wine.
Really?
Because it was raining every fucking day.
Yeah.
And they had dilution. And these grapes, which were there, there's one I must show you. I don't want to find it out in the first place. This is something I'm telling you because you are professionals. You love wine, obviously, and you're interested into wine more than
normal people.
Than the rest. No, but then you've seen other winemakers. They love wine, okay, but no, they like the stones, the soil, the barrels, the different things. Me, my target is
the outcome.
Yes, that's
the result.
I have this in mind. I have my dream wine in mind, which of course I never have.
That's why I the last one you showed us, the year 2012. Because when we were in the vineyard, you say the year 2012, it was a disaster, according to what I remember.
Yes.
But the 12, it tastes like so robust. So what went wrong?
but you mentioned...
What did you do?
One of you mentioned that it was like 5 or 6 or older. Because indeed, it was a lighter vintage because of this weather and so on. And it's been trying to show everything it had to be good. But... it's not as powerful as the 11 or as complete. And so the structure is maybe a little weaker. And the wine will age faster, I think. But it's also the reason why it is charming today. And while 14 or 13 or 15 or 16 are just not ready, And so in 12 we had these grapes. And if I put all these, well, there's enough of that, but maybe too many of these, and there was no way I could sort out. And so this raisin here, I'm squeezing. It's my finger. You recognize it? It's not cheating.
What is that? Is it or?
It seems to be a little white, huh? Well, the skin is brown because. It was one of these. It was white, but when you leave it in the oxidation, it turns brown like an apple when you slice it. And for the grapes, it's just the same, and that's why I want to carry them in the press in fruit shape because it's not apple juice that I want to taste. And this no one notices, and no one cares because it doesn't matter. I think it's just a sum of little details that make a little difference. Maybe I'm wrong, but at least I try to do it that way. And here, it was one of these, maybe a greener one, which was really not mature enough. And the water that was in the grape remained in the fruit. So only the juice which was rich enough came out of the press. Whatever water was stayed in the press. Do you understand what I mean? So here,
the water retained.
Only the juice from this one came out, from this one, but maybe the juice stayed in the press because I didn't want this. And I did a hand selection, and I went there 2, 3, 4 times, but nevertheless it was not entirely satisfying. The only way to get these out was to do that.
Okay.
And it's a cryo, a selection with the cold. Cryo selection. Cryo is the cryogeny, the cold. You know, you freeze, and it's something that people don't understand, or it's very easy to understand when I explain it this way. But it's taken as a something not natural, or ice wine in Canada is made. They pick green grapes. I have a Vida bottle we opened this weekend. We can taste it if you want. But it's only grapes of that kind, and so here it's my last selection that I may use or not. Sometimes it's not needed. The selection like this year we didn't really need it.
Okay.
But is this your son?
Yes. And trust me, he was eating all the ugly-looking ones, but the ones which have more sugar.
Yeah, that was my first
hire
time.
children labor.
Yes. Don't tell.
Don't tell. No, that was my first time to taste the noble rot.
Yes.
It looks funny. I'm not sure. I can drink the wine, but I'm not sure whether I can eat it or not.
No, but the people who come harvesting, some come every year, and there's always a group of 15 people who they know it heart by heart, and there's always new people, and we have to teach them. And what we do is we say, well, just taste it. You see what's good or not.
Are you kidding me?
Yes. So at the beginning, they say, "Oh, are you sure?" And so then we have them eating one of these, and they say, "Oh, okay, no." And then, and that's a picture. It doesn't show much, but I took it because it's all these grapes were taken. This one was one like this, which has been pressed. I took them after the pressing.
Okay.
And you see they get bigger and bigger. So this one was probably like this one.
Yeah. So it still contains the juice, but it's not a juice only one.
Exactly. It's full. It's more water than juice.
How about this one?
Well, this one is it's a mixed, because in fact it's slightly still green, even after 6 or 7, 8 hours of pressing.
Just like this?
Yes.
After press.
Or maybe more like this. Okay. Extremely difficult to get the juice out of that. Mm-hmm. So you need to go very gently for hours and hours.
Okay.
And many times I leave my press overnight.
Oh, overnight.
Yes. All our presses we drive them like sports car. We look, we taste, we listen. We taste, we look, we listen.
You drive sports car?
No,
morning?
I did. I tried, but no, I don't.
So usually harvest at morning or night?
Whenever the weather is good.
Okay, 看天气而已啊。
it can be very hot here, but not during harvest time. So it's not like in south of France where, if you harvest when it's 30 degrees, it all starts fermenting right away and so on. Here we don't have too much that problem. Mm-hmm. And sometimes what I do is that I pick, because we keep in these, and then I leave overnight. I leave them overnight. They haven't been damaged. And so they get the coolness overnight.
Okay.
And so I press them, they're 15 or 20 degrees, and it's good.
Wow.
Well, maybe you can start older. I mean, I want to take some bottles, and then it's almost the time to do.
Okay, you need to go. Okay.
袁董，快点哦。
超好喝的啦！这个是我今天最爱的。
但你就拿不完。这个我就是跟你说所谓的